Welcome at Acreates at a new episode of interviews with indie developers. Before I'm going to introduce my guest from this month, I'm going to pick one of the lucky names for winning, yes, the free Steam key for Kubifaktorium. So maybe you are the lucky one with a free Steam key. Okay, let's drum roll and I pick a name. And let's see who won the Steam key. Okay, it's David Say Drake. So please contact me. So you are going to get a free Steam key from me. Okay, great. I mean, this is the happy times, but there are more happy times because I have a very special talk with Doron Hirsch about KwaQua games, which is a happy application / game. Welcome, Doron, to my studio. Please tell us something about yourself and your journey.
Hi, I'm Doron Hirsch. I'm an interaction and game designer based in Amsterdam. My background is from performance and interactive installation, and I gradually shifted towards designing digital platforms. And in 2018, I co-founded KwaQua Games.
So what is your role at KwaQua Games?
Pretty much everything besides coding.
Okay.
I do the concept development, the UI and the UX, and I pretty much lead the team.
And I hear the concept is inspired by an old concept, right? Like, what is the history of Mish Mash?
So the idea of Mish Mash came about from a kids workshop I gave called Make Your Own Monster, where we played the paper version that Mish Mash is based on game, where basically you take a piece of paper and fold it in 3 parts, and then the first player makes the head, folds it, and then the next player just sees where the head ends. Then he adds the body, we fold it again, and then the last player makes the legs. And on that day, 2 kids were late, and then just playing 2 kids was not fun. So I just added a piece of paper to another group, and then one kid had the idea, let's make one big drawing the whole class. And I said, wow, that's a cool idea, but one, we need a very big piece of paper, but finding a system that covers each time that very big piece of paper to do this in a very short time, all this class together, that was another problem. But while I was thinking about this problem on the physical world, pretty quickly I realized if you do it digital, it solves, mostly the big problem of a big piece of paper, but it also solves the problem of having to do it all here and right now, because you can just pass the drawing from one another.
It feels kind of similar to Cartophone. What do you think is like the big difference between you guys and Cartophone?
Cartophone, the focus is not so much of making a creation together, it's more of having a laugh, and it's also very quick, right? You have a very short time frame to make a drawing. Cartophone is basically a broken telephone with drawings, and that's why it's called, I guess. In Mish Mash, the main idea is to really make a collaborative drawing as a team. I think they're similar in the fact that the surprise element in both games is what drives the player to come back. But in Mish Mash, there's no time limit. I think the focus is mostly empathy, like what am I going to put on my edge of my drawing? So of course there's similarities, but the fact that you don't have a time limit also makes the drawings to be a lot more detailed and elaborate.
Yeah, you don't feel stressed. I think
it's not about stress, yes.
Yeah. But are you going to add different features that like suddenly time will be a matter, or will you be like, no, this game is really to be silent, like take it easy, take it relaxing? Is that like the emotion you want to get out of the player, or do you want to kind of force them to be creative? Because sometimes with creativity is like if you have kind of a time zone or like some restrictions, it's easier to force creativity. So I'm wondering about that.
The one idea we do have that will include a timer is if you want to play in real time. Let's say you have 4 players in real time, everyone starts a drawing, and then we just rotate all the drawings in a round. And that would make sense that everybody, let's say, has 3 minutes per drawing, and then after 12 minutes you complete after 12 minutes you complete 4 drawings. So it's more for the real-time feeling, because now it's turn-based and you could take your time for as long as you want. Personally, I think time constraints for this kind of game, it does force you to be creative, but I don't think it really adds an important factor. Like I like the fact that you have very much all the time in the world to make your drawing. I think that's a real big plus, and we also hear that from players.
I mean, different players, different preferences, right? So this is basically the player that you don't want to feel stressed, like just having a relaxing phase. Will there be pop-ups like that someone is like, wait, you have still that drawing to finish? Is it like integrated?
When you send a code to your friend, he gets it probably via email or WhatsApp message or whatever platform you choose. So we chose to make it platform agnostic. I personally don't like that you're forced to use Facebook or forced to use app X to send the code.
One day it doesn't work. Everything doesn't work.
Yes, and it's also cross-platform, so you can send it from PC to mobile and back and forth, and hopefully one day the Switch as well.
Okay, your plans to on the Switch. Did you already talk with Nintendo about that?
A tiny bit, but yeah, we have yet reached. We didn't get a dev kit just yet.
Switch would be really cool for this concept, because then you're in a room, like some people have the Switch, and then like kind of drawing together, but still like on your own little space. So that's nice. I think that would be an enhancing. How many people can play it at once?
So on one drawing, the maximum amount of players can be 49. So we say 50 because it's it's easier to understand. But technically, it's 49. So it's basically a grid of 7 by 7.
Yes.
So that's the maximum amount of players that can be on one drawing. And the smallest amount of people can be 4. So we have basically from 4 to 49. That's currently. But in the future, we could probably do it infinitely. So you could keep on expanding the drawing.
That's the plan.
Till ideally, I mean, the drawings they're pretty much like living organisms. You can keep on getting bigger.
Yeah, that's nice.
Bigger.
I mean, I noticed that most of the games are like announced on events. Would you say that you have kind of a server base? Like, is there kind of a limit? I mean, I think you haven't reached it yet, but
I mean, I think 49 is a pretty good number for now. I think maybe for some cases, having a bigger number could be really nice. Especially for specific events. If you're thinking, dreaming big, if project the image on a football field or something like that with multiple video projectors, then it would make sense to have more. Keep in mind, it also takes a while for so many people to build it.
For sure.
Yeah, so I think even now, 49, we've only made one drawing with 49. The server, the technical aspect of it is also something to look at. Newer devices have no problem loading it, but if you have an older device, there could be some issues with memory and things like that.
Yeah, and if we talk about those events, like which events are you joining? Only game developer events or also like other events?
We do also other types of events. One example would be we participated in Kaboom. It's an animation festival in Amsterdam and Utrecht. Yeah, only a few weeks ago. It was called Maker Faire. It's in Eindhoven, which is an event for technology and creativity. And you've got people bringing robots and things like that.
Nice.
And we were there as well. There's another event also in the Netherlands called Night of the Nerds. So it's not only game events. We even did one, birthday and one wedding. So it could be in many types of events. And of course, for schools and things like that, we can also give workshops.
And what do you think is the success of the concept?
Well, I think in my vision, the whole idea was always to be able to bring people together from different backgrounds and different cultures and different ages. It seems to be working, so I'm really happy about that.
Nice.
And also to be able to, one of our biggest challenges was to do the online connectivity. So the fact that you can send the drawing from here to Japan or to Russia or to China, you can send it no matter where in the world. That is for me probably one of the most exciting moments. It's a bit like the Thomas Edison moment, I guess, for the Morse code or something. Like you could actually send a message to another place. Of course, we're in the age of the internet. It was like, big deal. You can play online. But for us, that was a very big moment. And the other success, I would say, the UI, we really tried to make it so it's not only for kids, but it's still very accessible for all ages. So to make something that's also nice for adults and children, although the main target group, I still think is kids. Adults play that. It doesn't feel like totally like a kids app.
Okay, so I was wondering, like, what are the developing challenges?
Well, the biggest developing challenge is it's currently done totally on our own time. So it's pretty much, there's no money backing us. So
Yeah,
it takes a long time to develop that way. Pretty much the whole team is rev share basis. Most of the team members cannot devote too many hours per week on this. So it's been a very, very long developing cycle. On the positive side of that, we do really test and play every feature and test it as well on people and in public. But yeah, it's been taking forever, and keeping the motivation on.
We are reaching other people. Are you still searching for testing people? Like maybe we
Sure. So via our website, or hopefully via a link that will now show magically on your screen,
Yes.
you could join our Discord community, and there you can share your codes there and share your works on the gallery. That's a great place to do that. And if you're not into Discord and still want to test the game, please send us an email via our website or something. And I'll be happy to send you a version for the device you need. So we have for Android, iOS, for PC, for Mac. Yeah, I think that's what we cover at the moment. And there's also a WebGL version. You can also play via the browser. I mean, it's okay, but it's the least stable, the WebGL.
Are you kind of self-publishing, or are you trying to find a publisher, or like how is that path going on?
So we are still looking for a partner or publisher to help us with funding the marketing. If we will not find it, maybe try to do a crowdfunding campaign that could help us with that.
Kickstarter maybe?
Kickstarter or something of that family, Indiegogo or something of those things. It's not easy finding a publisher for this experimental game, and also because the audience are not necessarily your gamer types. So yeah, there's not too many game publishers that focus on. It's not exactly serious game. We're falling a bit in between the chairs when it comes to market placement. But yeah, we're still searching for a good partner for that. We do know they exist somewhere. Company that probably would like to.
So if you describe your main target audience, what would that be then?
So it's very wide, but I still think the core audience would be families and kids. And if we cut that to focus, it's probably kids between ages 6 to 11. I think that's our core audience. Before 6, they can play and they enjoy it, but I don't think they really grasp so well the fact that their drawing will be continued. We noticed, especially small kids, they just want to have their drawing clean. The first thing they look for if they see somebody else's drawing on the edge is how to erase it. It's like, okay, no, you're supposed to continue that drawing. They're like, why? I want to make my own thing. So kids, very young, they have their own universe, and and after 13, they're like lose interest in this kind of game. And after, again, we had even older people like 60, 70 plus really like the idea of drawing with their grandkids, with the whole family. It's a very broad, but families is probably the main core audience. For this. And of course, you've got illustrators and artists that might find this fun to do, especially if they want to collaborate with more artists and illustrators.
Because at events, often like the artists will play it, and then the other people that are not really good in art will be like, oh, wait. I mean, that dragon, or I don't want to touch it. Like, that's kind of also a challenge, right?
You might have that in case you're scared that the other player made a really, really great drawing that you ruin it or something.
Yeah.
But I also think part of the charm of Mish Mash is that indeed you get all these different art styles combined onto one canvas, and it's really part of its charm. I can only try to convince people not to worry about what others did, and maybe a cliche, but beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and what we consider a beautiful drawing, maybe you like this very childish art style or things like that. So it's not so much about making a pretty drawing. If you're concerned with that yourself, then okay, I cannot do anything about that. But it's more about
I just think some people will think like that.
Sure, I can imagine that some people might be inhabited by doing that, and then for those people, maybe making a drawing with their friends is probably okay, and maybe making a public drawing
will be a bit
scary. But if you don't want to play publicly, don't play publicly.
Fair enough. Okay, so what have you learned by making Mish Mash?
Wow, it's hard to sum it up, but a lot. I think leading a team was probably one of the biggest lessons for me. I worked with teams before in my past with theater and installations and things like that. But usually the projects were a lot shorter.
Yeah, how
Was
long
really
did you
important.
work on?
So we started January 2018 was developing it.
It's quite a lot of years.
Yeah. It's been a while. Prior to that, also the concept, it was in my head for a while, but it was just on paper. And so yeah, that's that aspect. But of course, I think the whole how you market a game is something I did not have experience in. That's been probably the biggest learning curve. Is one thing making a game is a totally different thing bringing it to the market, and it's a big challenge. Yeah.
I understand that. Like, and also I know a few of your like partners, like they all come from different like industries or like different backgrounds, right? Could you tell us something about that?
So, well, a bunch of hacks. They're also game developers, but they also do backend development for corporate companies. They have as well their own game called Epicenium. That is a really cool game. You should check it out. It's free to play.
Free to play is always good.
Free to play. You can download it on itch and on Steam, I think. So yeah, it's a strategy game. Other team member, his name is Ivan Maus. He has also his own game studio. Yeah, and there's Lotti, who's an illustrator. Also, gathering the team was really a long process. Finding the right people to work with. And even before those team members, I had worked with other team members as well.
Yeah, for a lot of people, that's kind of challenging. Like, when do you know and where to find the people that you want to work with? Because working people and friends is like, it's not always the same, right? So how did you manage that?
For example, Ivan, I met at a meetup for Unity, not even for game design, but just people who want to learn Unity or share their projects in Unity. That's where I met him. Dan and Sander from a bunch of hacks I met in the Dutch Game Garden incubation program. Mm-hmm. So we were both members of that program. But yeah, prior to that, it's not easy finding people. I'll say it differently. It's not easy finding people that are willing to work on a rev share basis. It's just a lot of searching. I don't have...
Yeah, and it's very unsure, right, at this moment. How many hours in the week are you working on Mish Mash?
Personally, it varies, but it's probably around 2 to 3 days a week I dedicate.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, but this includes as well the whole PR thing, right? So making tweets and emails and so it's now mostly not so much about the game design, but mostly about trying to find funding for the game, even events, being in contact with event organizers, networking, publishers, and so on. So that's currently the main toll of the work, but of course we still continue developing the game and fixing it and adding features. The rest of the team members usually focus around 1 day a week, I would say. And even then it changes, like the illustrator Lotti, we don't need her every time to make something, right? So
you don't live together, right? So how do you communicate? Like, what tool do you use?
Well, we use a lot of Discord. We use Unity as our main game engine. We use GitHub to share and update branches and so on. And
for the planning, because a lot of people struggle with planning.
I think in the beginning we used Trello, especially when we had all these new features or things like that. Mm-hmm. And once the features kind of developed, if we just need to tweak it a bit, we just use Discord to talk about it. Mm-hmm. And we do physically meet once in a while. During COVID, that was not really possible. But before COVID and even now, we do meet physically, either at somebody's house, and a bunch of hacks did have their own space, but remotely. So Trello, Discord, GitHub, and Unity is probably the main tools we use.
Okay. I mean, I was just wondering, like, how do you also keep motivated in such a long period that you don't like? Because some of your teammates just work 1 day a week, right? Like, how do you keep motivated? Because it's a long journey.
Yeah, I think everybody really likes the project. During events or also on Discord, we do see how the game is evolving. Mm-hmm. I think is probably one of the biggest motivators, keeps us going, that we see it's being used and we see that it improves. I think one of the nicest things about the game is that each time you get a surprise. Each time people play the game, you get a really surprising outcome.
Yes,
and I think that's what keeps it going.
So
the
if I
fact
can
that
hear this correctly, you're still playing the game, right? As developer.
yeah, I play it also with my kid, but also at events I sometimes play as well. And of course, to test it, I have to play it. It's a very different,
Yes.
very different type of play. When you're testing it, you're mostly, stress testing it to see how many lines can you push on a drawing before it crashes and things like that.
Nice. And how many lines can you draw before it push out?
Yeah, it depends. There's other factors as well, like
yes.
like how many other apps are you running in the background before, because they also take up memory. No, but it does slow it down after a while. But we did create an automatic line generator, so we don't have to draw it ourselves. So we just press a button and all these lines show up. Yeah, it can be quite a few lines, and it's also vector based or trail based, so we can retrace the entire drawing process as well. That's a really cool feature that we have. But yeah, some drawings have literally millions of trails on them. It's quite insane. So it's like you. Yeah, it's if you've got a heavy drawing of 25 pieces and people made an effort, it can reach in the hundreds of thousands, if not, I think maybe million. We had one of 1 million. It's insane to think about it, but yeah, it's small little lines, huh? So it sounds like
like shading and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we are all super excited to know what are your favorite drawings, like, because you're sharing a lot about
I mean, it's kind of personal taste, of course. Kids' drawings are really cute. Also, kids, you can never replicate that as an adult. Like, kids can draw in a very, very unique style and very innocent. And so I really like seeing kids' drawings, but also when artists draw is really exciting. And it gets really cool results. So we sorry for the cats in the background.
Nice.
So we did, for example, a crossover with 3 artists on Twitch, which worked out really well. And the drawings that they made. Sorry, maybe I wait till he gets food. Yeah, he's a whining cat.
Oh, he gets food. Oh,
he gets food. Yeah, now, yeah. When he gets food, he'll be quiet. So yeah, so for example, in that crossover on Twitch, you got really, really amazing results as a drawing, and you really see like these are professional illustrators and animators. So of course, those drawings are my favorite. And as far as styles go, we also have chalk mode, which is black and white. Basically, it's white on black. And those drawings I really like because they're very cohesive. So you really don't see where one drawing starts and one drawing ends. It's really like very, very organic. My favorite style, but I do understand that people like colors, and yeah, so that's, of course, we're going to keep those in the game. But at some moment I was thinking, yeah, maybe we should just have the game only in black and white. But
I mean, good black and white isn't ugly at all.
No, it's really pretty. Yeah, I mean, it's a game mode. You can choose if you want black and white. We have that. And as for game modes, we want to also have other cool things. I can share a bit. One is called Topsy Turvy, and we want to do that the canvas flips 180 each time you send it to another player.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that will make even more surprising connections. And as for black and white, one game mode I want to do is with like scratch paper. So usually you have got like this black paper and underneath there's color, and you scratch away and then you reveal the colors underneath. I think that could be really cool. And what could also be really cool is if you have like a glitter animation behind it. So you kind of, I imagine some kids will just scratch everything out, but
I want to.
But yeah, that could be a cool mode. And then it could be interesting maybe to maybe even limit the amount of scratch that you can have. Like maybe have like maybe you can only scratch 40% of the whole canvas area or something, and then we'll tell you, okay, you have no more scratching space or something. Yeah, we have other ideas which I will maybe not reveal here, so people yeah. But we have there's a few more that we really want to make. And that's also really something I really like about the game, is that because drawing is so versatile, yeah, we can come up with new features constantly. And I think that's something we want to do every few months, release a new game feature or new game mode.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
that could be a way to keep people interested. And,
but it's also hard work to add every time a new feature.
Yeah, but some features are really easy to make. Some features take more time. But having the ability to maybe just game feature could be you choose your own color scheme, so you can only draw with green, blue, and red or something. That's not very hard to program, right?
Yeah.
So and other things we could always add is more animations and more stamps.
Yeah, I like to ask all of my guests basically to do you have advice to start your own indie studio or your own application or whatever? What would be your advice?
Take a deep breath before that. When we started, I think the whole business plan behind it wasn't there. It was more like, I want to make this game, and I wasn't really sure how to make money with it. And I would advise not entirely think about that aspect when you start making a game or establishing a studio. But now it's kind of a struggle for us, like finding some funding. But keep in mind also, the reason we chose touch or mobile was because of the format of touch. And specifically, that market is very hard because there's so much free to play in there. And I don't think I want to make Mish Mash free to play. The main reason I don't want to make that, especially for monitoring content on public games on free to play, is going to be a lot more challenging. Also because server costs might be higher than what you can earn with ads. And I don't like ads. Now I know a lot more about the mobile market and so on. So think about which platform you want to make your games for. I think that's one thing to think about.
But for now, you can't really buy the game as a person, right? Yeah.
It's not out yet. Part of the reason it's not out yet is, well, we still want to polish out. Yeah, we're in late beta, totally playable. Most of the game features are totally working well. Doesn't crash too often. Fingers crossed. Yeah, but there's a few features we really want to finish. But the main reason we're not releasing as well is I fear that if we release it now independently, it will just drown in the sea of games that are out there now.
So do you have a kind of I want to release it on this kind of dates? Maybe on family day? I don't know. I mean, I still think first I want to make sure that all the features that I want to have work well. And after that, I think having some funding for marketing would be smart, not to just release it alone. At some point, if we don't manage, we'll just release it and try to grow the game organically. I'm not there yet. I'm not ready to just do that yet. And will it be like one-time payment or will subscription based, or what's the idea?
I think the idea would be to have a freemium model, so you can download the game for free, so you can test it to see. You can play locally, maybe 4 pieces or 9 pieces for free at home. Like the premium version will have online connectivity and all the game stamps, animated stamps and other features that you might not have in the free version. So yeah, that's the current idea, and then have it as well for all platforms. That's another reason why not to do it free to play, because if you release it for Switch, then
it's hard to have free to play for Switch.
Yeah, no, it's not smart.
Really Nintendo's
no, it's not possible. But also you can have it on itch for free and on Steam for free if you want. But I don't think free to play is always good. I mean, if you have the goal just to grow your game player base, that could be a good idea. But we also worked on it for so many hours and years that just to make it free, I don't think is fair for us as well as a team. And I believe in it. And I don't think it will be very expensive, but and another idea we have in that regard is an idea I call play it forward. So like pay it forward, but with an L in brackets. So play it forward, where when you buy the game, the full feature, you might get an extra key for free for someone else.
Yeah. Okay.
And this also really fits the idea of sharing your drawing with others. So if you have a whole family of 10 players, maybe you can have like a family package, and you buy one for grandma, one for the uncle, and one for...
That's nice.
That could work, I hope. But there's other problems there, of course, with what Apple now allows with in-app purchases and things like that. So if I buy the game on a PC, can I give the key to someone with an iPad and things like that? So that's something to look at. But I think now the rules are slowly changing to pull that off easier. But that's a technical challenge. Like, how can you make it cross-platform?
Yeah.
The system. But yeah, but that's an idea I'm really interested in looking at.
I'm really glad that you were able to share all your experiences with us. So, do we have some last advice just that you like to share?
Yeah, believing in what you do is super important. You hear a lot of advice from so many other people in this industry, which is great that people share. But at the end, I think you should really also stick to what your gut feeling and intuition says. Nobody knows the right answer, and every game on its own is its own path. I believe in it. What else can I say? I would personally hope in the game industry to have more unique games. There's so many games that are a copy of or a variation of another game. So I encourage indies especially to think outside the box. There's so much room for experimentation and new ideas.
Yeah, that's lovely to close it up. Like, try to find your own passion and try something else, because like copying something that's already successful doesn't mean that we need another copy of it. And
Exactly.
It's nice to just like try something new. Oh, that's really nice. If some people are still having some questions, please leave them in the comments, and then I would like to thank you for coming here. And yeah, I hope that you can draw a lot more drawings and like succeed in going to a lot of events, that we all see Mishmash everywhere. So thank you for coming.
Super. Well, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, you're very welcome to join our Discord and play the game as well.
Okay.
Super. Now, have a great one, and cool.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Ciao. Bye-bye.